Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is CEO Rodney. Just coming to you guys real quick with a quick thought, kind of a thought-provoking video. So I want to talk about generational wealth. There's a lot of talk about generational wealth in the Black community, especially as we're looking for ways to kind of set up hustler for our last name, not our first name. Of course, generational wealth meaning that not only can I have wealth in my lifetime, but also that wealth could transfer over to my kids or to their kids and even kids after that. So there's a lot of talk about how do we do that in the Black community, how we get started. Wealth was taken from us. Just some background, as you know, when the slaves were freed, one of the things that Abraham Lincoln proposed or even put into writing as part of that in the Constitution was about 40 acres and a mule. Well, that never happened. And then, of course, the Freedmen's Bank was set up in response to that. And once we put our money in there, all of our money was basically stolen. Henceforth, you see a lot of talk in the media about reparations, things like that. But there's another strong kind of movement to get us to build generational wealth through our Black community, and mainly through real estate. It's kind of the biggest thing that I see people talking about. There's a lot of people online, activists, entrepreneurs, economic developers that are talking about, building generational wealth through real estate. So I gotta my whole thing about generational wealth is I think that it's a great idea. It works in some cases, but the majority of the cases it really doesn't work. And I give you a perfect example. So my grandfather, who I learned, how to count from, how to do math from, one of the most disciplined men that I knew. When he passed away, he had 6 houses that he owned, right? And believe it or not, even back then, there was no credit. So he bought all these cash, never worked for anybody, was his own entrepreneur, saved up the money, paid for it. Just a very disciplined guy, and raised 6 kids along the way. So, but when he passed away, he had 6 houses, right? You would think that those 6 houses would translate into generational wealth for everybody. Well, as life goes on, you can't really expect the next generation to do the same thing or want to do the same thing that you did, right? So I say that because no matter how much wealth you build, no matter how big of a portfolio you build, real estate or otherwise, stocks, companies that you build, you cannot determine what the generations after you do, right? You can set a precedent, you can leave clues, you can leave a manual, you can leave a blueprint for how it's done, but you cannot truly spark generational wealth. Number one, you don't know how much the money that you're making or accumulating or wealth you're accumulating is going to be worth in years after you're gone, right? So your real estate portfolio may be worth $10 million today. Well, who knows in the year 2030 if real estate is even going to be a real thing, right? Who even knows if in the year 2030, $10 million is not going to be enough to live on? I can imagine that my grandfather, when he built his portfolio up, he was probably thinking, man, this is going to set everybody up forever, right? But as you know, as time goes on, real estate jumps up and down. People get sick, necessity, whatever the case may be. So the real estate thing doesn't always pay off because, again, things change over time. So I think that the whole thing about generational wealth to me is almost like a myth because you cannot control what other generations do. Like you can do everything you want to do and build your portfolio, get your wealth, set things up for your kids. But who's to say that they're going to follow your footsteps? Who's to say that their kids are going to follow your footsteps? They're going to have their own things they want to do, own things that are important to them. So I say that because, I'm not knocking generational wealth. I think it's a great idea. It's if that's your motivation to get started in investing or buying property, that's cool. Do that. But do understand that there is no way you can set your generations up for years and years to come to get wealth. And I don't care what you point to. You can point to the Waltons and Walmart. You can point to the Rockefellers or whoever you want to point to, right? But the truth is you cannot control what your kids do with the wealth that you've accumulated, okay? So generational wealth is good. It's a great motivator if you want to get started based on that. But the honest truth is there is no such thing as generational wealth, okay? No matter what you do. So I'll be interested. You guys leave some comments. Let me know what you think. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right. But there's no way I can determine, no matter what I do in life now, what my kids are going to do with the wealth that I create. So take that for what it is, guys. Stay tuned. We got more coming. Subscribe to the channel too, as I'll be dropping more stuff like this too about generational wealth and other things as well too on this new channel. So stay tuned. I'm out.